Well, hello. Yeah, it's about 6:56. That means we have about 4 minutes to talk. And what I'm going to go through tonight, I am going to cover inlays. Inlays, inlays, inlays. These are all inlays, okay? And I'm going to cover also, I'm going to cover layering, carving in layers, kind of like that. Okay, so that's what I'm going to cover tonight. So I'm just going to give people a little bit of time to get on here because it is not 7 o'clock yet. So as people probably figured out, yes, I am in Facebook jail again. I can't even believe they did it. But it is what it is. Just a second here. I'm just trying to see.
Turn up the entertainment heat with Suddenlink's hottest summer sale. Get blazing fast 200 meg
Let's see here. I'm just trying, while I'm waiting here, I'm trying to... There we go. I want to monitor. I want to monitor. Oh, wait. I got to turn it down. There. Got to try to get things going here and have a monitor which is running probably 10, 15 seconds behind me. So it's kind of looks crazy. It's crazy. All right, so we're going to talk about inlays and tiling. Layering. I'm going to tell you something. This is inlays. It has to be one of the simplest things to do on a machine. It really is. That's all you're doing is cutting out an area, and then cutting out a part that's going to go in that area, and it's going to fit perfectly. Look at this. Here, let me show you here. As you can see, there's no air in there at all. Look at here. There's no air. But this brown is cedar wood, and this is pine, okay? So these are inlaid. This whole scroll work, it was all cut out in one piece. And the pocket was cut out here in the pine, okay? And guess what? It slid right down into the pocket. It really did. Each letter is individual. Now, I've talked about you people when you're gonna do inlays and stuff like that. I mean, try to find things that kind of, because you're not going to want to inlay pine on pine, okay? Because you won't see it. I mean, you want to use different colors, or you can use acrylic. Here's an inlay that I did there was one of my evening classes, one of my Monday night classes. And this is just a piece of wood that I've been burning on. You see a submarine here. I've been burning on it with laser. I've been doing test burns and everything. Well, what I did here was it's a pocket. And this is a square that I cut out. Okay? Now, talking about the pocket and the square. Okay? Now, that's going to be your biggest problem. That is going to be your biggest problem. Because I'll show you right now. Very simple. Very, very, very simple. And here I made a drawing. And let's just say that this square here is this pocket. Okay? This pocket right here. That is that square here. Now this is your tool. This is your cutting tool, and I've blown it up a little bit. I've blown it up so you can really, really see what I'm talking about, okay? All right. Now, this cutting tool is going to cut away everything. Don't worry about this one here. Don't worry about that right now. Just think about you're going to be like this, okay? And this cutting tool is going around, and it's cutting. And when it comes into the corners, it's leaving a radius like this. Okay? So, you cannot put a square corner into a radius. Okay? So that corner has to you have to get rid of these radiuses in your corners, or it will not work. It will not. You can't put a square into a round hole, okay? You just can't do it. You cannot put a square in a round hole. So the way to get rid of these radiuses, the corners, is by using a smaller cutting tool, a finishing tool. Okay? Now, here, you don't have any problem cutting out, you won't have any problem cutting out your square that's going to go in this inlay. These corners are going to be completely perfectly square because the tool is going to ride up along and just go around the outside of that edge. So that's going to create a perfect square, where these are going to create a perfect radius. But by decreasing the radius, you can actually get away with getting that plastic in that square. Okay, in that radius. It'll be small enough. It will be small enough where you can get it in there. Now, for you people that might not have learned it or whatever, but you have different types of cuts. Different types of cuts. Okay? And when you look at your cut settings, or how it's going to be cut out, pocket or outside shape path, let's just say that this line is our shape path, okay? And you have outside shape path. In other words, let me get it out here. In other words, our cutting tool is going to be cutting right here along the outside edge of the outside edge of my path. On path, cutting tool on path. That means the center of your tool is riding on the center of the line that you are going to be cutting out. Or you have cut inside shape path. Okay, now I'm going to go through these with you to show you what's going to be used for inlays. And it's very, 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 it can't be any simpler. Really, it can't be. It can't. Okay, And what I'm going to do is I have to get up a thing of easel here. Let's see here. Okay. And let me see here. Just a second. I just have to get my get something here that I'm going to use for an inlay. Do, 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 do. All right, I'll just make up my own. I will make up my own. Edit, select all. Okay, delete. All right. So let me just turn you around here so I can show you what I'm talking about. All right. So in the drawing area right now, we're just going to keep it simple, and I am going to make a rectangular inlay. Now, one of the first things you're going to have to know is the thickness of the material that you are going to use as an inlay. Okay, so let's just say that I'm going to use this plexiglass. Okay, so the thickness of my plexiglass is 2.64 millimeters. 2.64 millimeters. So what am I going to do? First of all, I'm going to make the depth of my pocket 2.46 millimeters. And that's all I have to do is, to keep it simple, I just go right down here and I go to 2.64 millimeters, and it will round it off, I'm sure, to 2.6 millimeters. Yes. Now, let's just say that I have this piece already cut out, and I want to use this as my inlay. Okay, great. This is 28.3 millimeters. Okay, so now I go here. Right now, I just put in the depth. That is how deep I want this to be cut out. Okay, this is how deep I want it to be cut out for this piece to slide right in there. And I said that is 28.3 millimeters square. So I go to shape and I say width. I'm going to go to size here. Okay, I'm going to say width 28.3. And then I'm going to change this one 28.3. There. Okay, so now, guess what? That square, the square right down here, is now exactly the size that I want for this inlay. Okay? This is going to be my inlay. This is 2.6 millimeters thick, and it is 28.3 by 28.3 millimeters, and that is the size of the pocket that we want to cut out. That isn't any problem at all. I can do it in two ways. Now, usually you don't have time to be messing around with using a finishing tool to cut out everything, or if you do have good time and you can wait, well, then you can do it in one tool. I mean, I'm going to show you here. Let me just... Okay. Now, right now, you see here I have a 0.8 millimeter tool. I'm going to change that to a 1/8 inch. Okay. Now, I just changed that to a 1/8 inch because I'm going to use that as a hogging tool. That's going to be my roughing tool. Okay. And what does a roughing tool do? A roughing tool will leave radiuses because I'm using a 1/8 inch tool. Okay, so it's going to leave, this is a 1/16 inch radius. The radius, your cut radius of a corner, will always be half the size of a tool. So this is a 1/8 inch cutting tool. That is going to be a 1/16 inch radius. So we got to get rid of that. So then we're going to add a finishing tool. And in the finishing tool, excuse me, I put in millimeters first. And then I put in the one that I want to use just to clean up the corners. And it's a 0.8 millimeter tool. Okay. Now, right here, you're basically you're not going to see, these corners are so minute now. They are so minute that the square will actually fit in there. This square here will actually go right down in there. Okay? So now we've reduced our radiuses by using a smaller diameter tool. Okay? So I'm gonna put my piece of wood on my machine. I'm gonna take my piece of wood, put it on my machine, right? 2-tool cut. First, I hog it out with an 1/8 inch, with an 1/8 inch tool. And then I clean it out with my detail tool here. All right. So I have now created my piece of wood, my pocket, which is 2 point. Let's see how deep it is actually. And to measure how deep it is, I just go like this and I push down. And this one is actually too deep. This one was cut deeper than, and this is the way you do it. Just like that. And this is cut at 3.3. So what will happen when it's cut so deep? What do you think? Yippers. There is a little lip. There's just a little lip right here. This one was cut too deep. And I can show you how much too deep by measuring that right there. And I can tell you right now, it's 0.48, about a half a millimeter too deep. Anyways, but with a 0.8 millimeter tool, with a 0.8 millimeter cutting tool, it cut those corners so close. The radius is 0.4 millimeters. That is tiny, 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 tiny. Okay, so this piece of my inlay popped right into there. Okay, it popped right in. I mean, a nice tight fit. And that's all I did was used clear out pocket. You use this here, clear out pocket, for your for your pocket, for your inlay. And I highly, highly suggest that you use two tools. A big one to hog it out and a little one just to clear out the corners. So so if there is, now I'm going to show you a couple things that you have to take into consideration. All right. Now, let me just find an object here. Just going to find something here that's easy to see and easy to explain. Okay. I'm just trying to find the right one, the right thing here to give you an example. Okay, let's just take the moon here for an example. And I'm just going to use this one here. All right, now, let's just say that we're going to use this here as an inlay. Okay? Then it would be, if I was going to use this part here as the inlay part, not as the pocket, okay? Then I would say cut outside shape path. I would say cut outside shape path. And here there's so much that you really have to think of what you want to retain, what are you really looking for as far as for a pocket. This here was a really, really bad. This shows you what you don't want to use as a pocket, or I mean as an inlay, okay? Because right now there's just too much detail. Okay, let's see. I want to find something that's easy. Okay. I'm just trying to find something that's easy. Okay, here we go. This is a good example here. Now, this is what I'm going to use as my pocket. Okay? Okay, this right here, I'm going to even make it bigger. Let me see. First of all, move this up out of here. Okay. And then I want to move this guy and make him a little bit bigger. Okay. Now, here you're also going to have to think. Now, think of this. As I move over here, okay, and I'm going to be looking at my drawing here. And I'm going to zoom in. Okay, now remember here, if you're going to cut this pocket out, you're going to cut this all out as a pocket, okay? You have your smallest tool is going to be your smallest radius right here, okay? So you always have to think of these. Now here, it'll be cutting on the outside of this V right here. It'll be cutting on the outside of it. So you don't have to worry about that one. And you don't have to worry about this V here, because this is going to be cut out. It's going to be cut out through the antlers. You have to look at each part how it's going to be cut out and what's going to be cut out. Like here, all the gray is going to be cut out. It's going to be the pocket for our inlay. So around this edge, we don't have to worry because that tool will just ride right around it. Okay. But let me see here. Now here also, this little sliver of material, you're going to want that. And it's going to be there because that tool is just going to go around it. And if I just brought this up, I can bring it in here and I can simulate it, which I'll do right now real quick. So I'll simulate this here for you. They just created the roughing pass, and now it's creating it's doing the roughing pass. Now it's creating the detail tool path. Okay, so now, have you ever heard me say, run a tool path and it'll show you where to put your clamps? Well, this is exactly what I mean. Because remember, we left that box up there on purpose. I don't know why, but you see here from your 0 point, you see here how everything comes off out of your 0 point here, and where it goes to, and it moves around to the different areas. Okay, and I am now going to simulate it, and I'm going to speed it up some to 8 times. And first of all, the red one is your roughing, and you see how it roughs it out. It doesn't even basically go down the legs or in the tail or and it doesn't go anywhere in the horns because it's too big. Okay, I'm going to speed it up one more 16 times. So now it should be pretty much just about finished with. Now here it's doing now it's gone in and it's doing the finishing pass now. But what I wanted to show you was what I was saying was, you heard me maybe tell people, run your simulation and it will tell you where to put your clamps. And I've heard people say, oh, well, I don't understand what you mean. It doesn't show anywhere to put clamps here. No. But I'll tell you one thing it does show. It'll show you where not to put clamps. Like, for example, I wouldn't put a clamp here, or I wouldn't put a clamp over here, or I wouldn't put a clamp right here. Okay? I would put one clamp over here, and I'd put one clamp over here. I'm good to go. All right. Now, so let's just say that now I have cut out this pocket right here. Just this deer pocket. Okay? I cut it out as a pocket, and that's exactly what I got, was a pocket. And I can look at it and I can say, oh yeah, it looks really good. It does look good. Everything looks fine. All right. So now I want to make an inlay that's going to go in there. Okay? I can just take that off my machine now. I'm finished with my pocket now. Okay? So now I have to make the inlay, okay? And I'm just going to move this over a little bit and zoom it out a little bit. Now, zooming it does not bother it, does not hurt it, or anything like that. I can zoom in and out all I want all day long. The only thing I'm going to do right now is I'm going to change my cut path. I'm done cutting out this pocket for the deer. Now I want to cut this plexiglass out. I just put this plexiglass on my machine, and now I want to cut out the deer. Okay, and I'll put my depth to, which is 2.6 millimeters deep. Okay, that's how thick my plexiglass is, and that's how deep I carved the pocket out for that deer. Okay, now I'm going to change, and I'm going to cut outside shape path. So now you see here the blue. I'm going to try to zoom in here so you can see. Let me see. There you go. Now you see here, the blue is the shape path, and the gray is the tool. Okay, and you'll see here. You see here how it just cuts. It'll be cutting out right around on shape path. Now let's try something. Let's see now. Okay, let me just kind of get this picture back in place again so we won't be totally lost. Okay. So now I'm going to simulate again, and it's creating a detail preview. Okay. Now, guess what? When I start a simulation here, you see how my roughing tool, my 1/8 inch, went right up here. And let me just see if it does do anything quicker. I mean, anything. Yep. And then it just goes back home, and then your fishing tool path does all of the work for the deer. In other words, I can eliminate this tool right here, and I can change this tool to other, and I would put it on millimeters, and I will put it on 0.8 millimeters is my smallest one as that I have now. I'm just going to take this and delete that out of the picture. Okay. So now, if I simulate it with, that's all I'm using now is a 0.8 millimeter tool to cut out my deer from the acrylic. And I'm using a straight flute, single flute at very low RPMs, at about 4,000 RPMs. I'm cutting out that deer. Okay. So now we can watch here, and we can see. watch it again and you'll see how it'll be cut out. So, and when it's done cutting out, guess what? That deer will fit exactly perfectly right inside that pocket that we made. It really will. And I mean, they match 100% like this here, right here. This here is all inlays. That was all inlays. And each thing was cut out individually. And every pocket. Now, that's the cool thing about easel. When I did this project, guess what? I made 6 copies. Yep. 1 copy, 2 copies, 3 copies, 4 copies, 5 copies, 6 copies. That way, I was able to work with only one object at a time. And I was able to manipulate that object exactly how I wanted it. Okay? So it's best to make copies and work just with one part at a time. Okay? I mean, that keeps it a lot simpler. It really does. Now, that there was inlays. I mean, really, it can't be any simpler than that. It really can't. It's, the whole thing is you just have to think about which tool you're using for cutting out and for doing what. Okay? And in most cases, you're going to want to use a tiny, tiny tool if it has any kind of detail, like for example this here. Now, let me show you something. I had it here. I just had it here. I think some of you guys are going to like to see this. I'm just looking for it. I have it. Buffy, have you seen that book with gunstock carving?
Yeah.
Where?
In the bedroom on that table.
Okay. Okay, I did find it. After Buffy told me where to find it. This here. Let me tell you what. There is some very, very, very cool stuff here. I just made some copies of some stuff, but yes, you can get your CNC machine to carve such things. I mean, this here, we're talking gorgeous things. We're talking high dollar things. And these here are hand carved. Okay, this is all hand carved, and it shows you which tools to use for a Dremel. Okay, carving fish scales, how to do it, I mean, here it shows you. How to do that. It's all step by step. Exactly how to transfer the patterns. So this is all, but the cool thing about it is all of these patterns. And these can be converted to STLs or to, you can bring them right in on line trace. Bring them as a JPEG. Okay? And you could carve these out on a gun stock. Yes, you can. It can be done. Okay? So anybody interested in making a lot of money, learn how to do this. Really, I'm really serious. People with weapons pay big, big dollars to have things carved in their gun stock. And it can be done. It can be done with a 3018. It sure can. Okay, now I'm going to talk a little bit about. I hope everybody understood everything about inlays. It's very simple. You tell the machine to cut out your pocket. You cut out your pocket and you use a tiny enough cutting tool, finishing tool, to eliminate radiuses. That's all. And then when you cut out your letters, you use a tiny tool so in the other corners, the other way, so it eliminates the radiuses. You have to think which way you're cutting things out. So you're going to need a tiny tool no matter what. No matter what, you're going to need a tiny tool. Okay? And I've been getting away with 0.8 millimeter cutting tool. So you cut out your pocket, and then you cut out outside shape path on each thing. And that's the way it comes out. They will come out just like that. They will pop right into the pocket. Believe it or not, if you do it correctly, it will do it. And it comes out. It actually turns out really nice, too. All right. Now I'm going to talk a little bit about something that's even simpler. Okay? And let me see if I can bring this one up. Look, I'm just going to bring this one here. And what I'm going to talk about now is layering. Doing carvings in different heights. Like this right down here. Okay? Now what I've done here is, what I've done here is I've carved out this banner, which is in 2 steps. It's higher here, lower here. Excuse me. And then the base, the back, the rearward wall, which is furthest back, is all the way back here. And then it comes up 1 step to this banner. And then it comes up to the upper step of the banner. And then my letters are laid up on top of that. So they come up off of the banner. Now what I'm just waiting to do is to carve out the exact same thing up at the top here with Buffy. So it'll be Paul and Buffy. And this here was laser engraved. Okay? So it'll be, we can take it with us when we go camping, and I don't know. Or we can make one of these. Okay? So when we go camping, we can hang it up out next to our camper. All right. Now, the whole trick to this is it's just different heights. Everything has a different height, okay? And if you look here, the background, okay, now I'm clicking on the background, okay, of the this is the oval in the background, all right, and it's cut at 4 millimeters deep. Now, if I click on this window here for this teardrop camper, it's only carved at 1 millimeter deep. Okay. See, if I take this away, you see how everything is. So I'm going to move this. I'm going to move this over just a little bit right now, so we can increase the size of this and move it over here a little bit. Okay, so now what I'm doing is, if I click on Paul and Buffy, guess what? That is not being cut at all. Okay, look here. Look here at my preview. Look at my preview here. Those letters are not being cut at all. They're just being cut around. Okay, so the tops are left. They're not even, they've never been cut. Okay, the only thing that's been cut is the sides cut around the letters, so the letters are coming out towards you. Same as right here. Same as the walls and the shape of the teardrop camper. Now, the teardrop camper, though, is a little bit deeper. This one, it is 2 millimeters deep. Okay? So the letters are going to be 2 millimeters higher than the camper. If I click on the dog is 0. It's not being cut at all. Over here, the yin yang is not being cut at all. But the background, which is gray here, is being cut at 4 millimeters. Okay, so you have to think of the background is 4 millimeters. Okay, and then the teardrop is 2 millimeters, so it's kind of like above there. And then the name is even higher up. So here we have 1, 2, 3 layers of cutting there. Okay. Now on this one here, I'll show you. This one here is okay. How many layers you got here? We got 1 layer is the rearward most layer. This next layer is right here, which is about 2 millimeters above that. Okay, so let's say if this one is -6 deep, then this one here would be oh, excuse me. This would be -4. This would be -2. And then my letters would be 0. So they'd be 2 millimeters between my letters and the first plate of this banner. And then the rearward plate of the banner is 2 millimeters behind it. And then the background is 2 millimeters behind that again. That's all it is changing the depth of things. All right, now I'm going to show you. I'm going to make up one real quick here to show you what I mean by, because one thing you have to understand is you have to understand how things are built up. Or okay, now I'm going to show you here a little bit. I'm going to move this over just a tad to give me a little bit more room. Okay. A little bit smaller. There we go. And I'm moving that over there. And we are good to go. Okay, now I'm going to show you something. And so I have a square. And I have a circle. I have a circle. And I have a star. See, every time you bring something out, it'll try to put them all in the same place. And I have a triangle. Okay. Now, right there, you see how it all just looks like mumble jumbo here, right? All right. First thing I'm going to highlight. I'm going to highlight that square. And right now I don't know what is on top of what, what's behind what, or what is in front of what. Because you have to, one thing here you have to understand: layers, layering. It is layers. Everything is in a different layer. Okay? All right, now I'm going to start showing you. Now I've just highlighted the square. Now watch this. What I'm going to do is I'm going to change the depth of that to 8 millimeters deep. Okay? And my circle, I'm going to have that as 6 millimeters deep. And I just type in down here 6 millimeters deep. My star, I'm going to have it at 4 millimeters deep. Just type in 4 here. Okay. And then my triangle, I'm going to have it at 2 millimeters deep. So I highlight my depth right here to there, and I put in 2 millimeters. Boom, boom. There. Now, this is just to show you now, to give you an idea of what's happening. Look here. Now I can start moving this over a little bit. Okay. All right. So now this is where it gets interesting. You see how the square, it's all the way back, right? But guess what? The circle is in front of the square. No matter, it doesn't matter if you look here, it doesn't matter. The square, the circle is in front of the square. Okay? Now, what if I go up here to edit and I have the circle highlighted and I say send backwards? That means what I have highlighted here, I'm going to send it one layer back. One layer back. So I'm going to send it backwards. And look what I just did. I just sent it behind the square. Now you can see here, it's always going to be behind the square. Even though, look over here, even though the square is being cut out deeper, okay? Even though the square is being cut out deeper, the circle is behind the square now. So I have the circle highlighted right now, okay? Watch what happens when I put it to 0. Watch. Put the depth to 0. Look at that. You can't even see it. Okay? And I can simulate it if you want. All right? So I bring the depth down to 4. Okay? Now, watch this. If I have the circle highlighted, watch this, and I say, and I'm going to watch this. I'm going to bring it over here, and I'm going to highlight this. Okay, so now we can see here the circle is behind the star, and the circle is also behind the star is behind the triangle. Where is the triangle in relationship to the square? It's in front of it. Where is the star in relationship to the square? It's in front of it too. So this would be layer 1, layer 2, layer 3, layer 4 back there. Now watch this. When you're looking at all these crazy things here, okay? And we said this one was 8 millimeters. This one, we're going to put at real fast, 6 millimeters right there. This one, we're going to set at 4 millimeters right here, just for visual purposes. Okay? And you can see here, it's chaotic. Now, right now, I'm going to highlight the circle again. Watch this. Edit. Bring forward. Not to front, not all the way to the front. Bring forward one step at a time. Look at that. I just brought it forward. Now my circle is in front of my square, but behind the star. I'm going to go one more time. Edit. Bring forward my circle. Look at it. My circle is now in front of my star, but it's still behind the triangle. This is what you have to understand about layering. You have to understand what is behind what. What is behind what, how to get it there, and how to manipulate it. So now, if I want to bring my circle all the way forward, I say bring to front. Boom. Look at that. Now my circle is in front of everything. But it's being cut second deepest. You can see here on my preview. Here's my triangle, here's my star. Here's my square, and here's my circle. Now, if I highlight my square, it's all the way in the back. If I say edit, bring forward, now I brought it forward in front of the star. Now it's only the star. You see here? It's only the star behind the square now. The triangle is still in front of the square because we just moved it from one layer back here up to the middle layer. And the circle is still all the way in the front. So now I can push the circle back. Watch this. I'll say send to back the circle. Now the circle is behind everything. Okay? This is how you manipulate things. How to do cool things with letters and stuff like that. Right here. This is the whole trick. All right, I'm going to show you. I'm going to show you how to do it. Watch. I'm going to delete. And what am I going to do here? I'm going to pull this out. Okay, and I'm going to pull this up upwards like that. I'm going to get some text in here. And alpha slab 1. And I'm just going to say text. Okay, enter. Okay. Okay. Test. Okay. And I'm going to have to change this to okay, to test. Then I'm going to go down here and I'm going to start right there and I'm going to say enter test 1. Okay. So now this test 1, I'm just going to change the depth of it. And you can see here by changing the depth, it makes it lighter. So now I know that my second test 1 is in front of the first test. So if I was to carve that out, you see how that'd come out? And I can move it over a little bit by using my arrows. Okay. Now, if I wanted to push test 1 behind the test, watch this. I just said go edit, and I say send back 1 layer. And what did it do? It went behind. You see, it's even behind the square here. So now I want to bring it forward 1. I got to highlight this, and I got to say bring forward. There. Now this one is in front of it's in front of the other one because we moved it first all the way back, then we moved it 1 step up. It's all about getting these what you want where. So right now I could just move test here and then I could move all that here, and then I can so you see there how it shows up. So this is what you do is I highly recommend that you just bring in make a test like this here and put different depths to the different texts and then just play with moving them forward and backwards so you get used to how to manipulate them. And then by changing the depth on them, I mean, you can just make it look like whatever you want. I mean, this is what it'll look like. I mean, it's really cool. So, like I said, on these YouTube videos, I'm going to try to keep them short to 1 hour. So, and I'm going to try to make more of them. Okay? So, I hope you guys understood inlays and layering, understanding layers, how to create layers. It's just a matter of telling the machine what depth you want for different layers, but where that object is in relationship to other layers. So you have to always think, you have to think of layers just as, layers like this is one layer and this is another layer and this is a third layer, So, and you have, now I'm going to move this layer, one layer below. Okay, I've moved it there. Now I'm going to move this one 2 layers, 1, 2, So you have to, that's what you have to think. Just keep your layers in a row. And that's how you learn. And it's all trial and error, really. I mean, it's test, practice, 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 practice. And you'll see that the people that excel most in this group with their projects and that, they're the people that are not afraid to trying new stuff. They jump right into it. They'll jump right into it and just do it. If they screwed up, so what? So what? That's what these machines are for. They're to screw up. Okay? You can't be 100% dead on all the time. You're going to screw up, and that's what you learn from, and that's what's really cool. All right? So with that, I would like to say thank you, everybody, for joining my live session tonight. It's a lot of fun, and it'll be posted in here. Okay? Let me see here. Whoa, that was some feedback. Oh, I didn't see that. Bob Perone. Hi, Paul. Hi, Paul Forner. Hi, Paul. Pete Bernard. How you doing, man? Bob Perone. Oh, I love that shirt, huh? Yeah, I didn't show you the whole thing. Here we go. Submariner. Noun. Okay, got it. Yes, Bob. Bob Perone. Silly question. Can I cut out 2 deer at the same time? You can, if you have a piece of acrylic and you have it clamped down, you can cut out 20 of them if you want. And then you cut out the pocket on something else and boom, lay it right in. Okay? And Sam said, thanks for the refresher course. I'll tell you what, people need to hear it again and again and again to do it, So I'll give it to them again. So anyways, thanks everybody for a great evening, and I'll see you guys.